What's good, math family? In today's quick review, I'm going to show you guys how and when to use the square root method. So the biggest thing to start this lesson is understanding the standard form for quadratic equations, right? Why is this important? Let's use some examples. So when we're talking about the square root method, family, understand that we always use it when we're completing the square. And then two, in other instances we use it is when there is no bx term, right? Or just an x to the first power. So if we look at all our examples, all we have is a x squared term and constants. This is when we use this formula. And the first thing we want to do is always isolate x. So 2x squared is equal to 32 after adding 14 on both sides. X is still not by itself. We divide, we get x squared is equal to 16. This is the exact step where we use the square root method to do what? Get rid of the exponent. So I do that on both sides. X is by itself, and it's equal to the square root of 16, which is plus or minus 4. Problem 2, same thing, right? X squared constant, we get it by itself. X squared is equal to 4. Take the square root of both sides. We know x is equal to plus or minus 2. And then in our last example, all they did was rearrange the equation to write it differently. We could rewrite it as x squared minus 9 is equal to 0. Once I solve, I have x squared is equal to 9, square root method. I know x now is equal to plus or minus 3. So when we're talking about identifying when to use it, family, one is completing the square, and two is when we have a quadratic equation and there is no bx term or just an x term, okay? We have x squared constant. Now, when we look at this problem, 3 key steps. Step 1, always want to get x squared by itself. So after I add 78 on both sides, right? We have 3x squared is equal to 192, right? X squared is still not by itself, so let's divide by 3. X squared is equal to 64, right? We know that we have to get rid of that exponent to truly figure out what our x is. So I take the square root of this side, take the square root of that side. Now I know x is equal to what? The square root of 64, which is plus or minus 8, and that's our answer choice D. So when we're talking about using the square root method to solve quadratic equations, family, one, we're going to use it always for completing the square, and two, we're going to use it when we have quadratic equations and there is no bx term. Really hope this short review was helpful for you, math family. If it was, smash the like button for us. Comment down below if you have questions, or if you have questions for future videos you guys would like to see on our channel. Thank you guys so much for joining Algebra 1 with Mr. Peters.